aircraft, the B-24 Liberator heavy bomber contained similar armament to the B-17, but was faster with a longer range. However, the four-engine bomber was made of a lighter weight material, and with fuel tanks in its upper fuselage, it was more vulnerable to attack. Liberators were particularly effective in the Battle of the Atlantic, where they provided air cover for convoys and hunted down U-boats. They were also used in the Pacific, where they replaced the shorter-range B-17.
Ever more and more liberating eagles take to the air, till the global skies are darkened by their mighty wings.
With so much of World War II played out across the oceans of the world, flying boats were also used as bombers. The Americans had the PBY Catalina, the Germans the Dornier Do-22. The RAF depended on the short SE-5 Sunderland, a patrol bomber that stalked the seas in search of German submarines. The multi-purpose aircraft could be used for rescues and reconnaissance, although it could only take off and land from sheltered coastal waters.
Each dawn, from Britain's air bases, the giant flying boats of the RAF Coastal Command take off. They're flying battleships that keep the air as the Navy keeps the sea. Often they spend whole days out of sight of land. Would you like to take the air with them? With the first light of day, we're roaring out to sea above the guarded harbour mouth.
Upon locating a U-boat, often with the assistance of radar, the Sunderland would try to drop its depth charges before the enemy submerged. These bombs would explode about 25 to 30 feet underwater and proved very effective. The first aircraft to sink a submarine without assistance was an Australian-operated Sunderland.
And when we reach the convoy, we find that 3 ships have lost their way.
Germany introduced a METOX radar warning system in an attempt to evade discovery, and for a time the Sunderland's kill rate was reduced. However, when centimetric radar was introduced in 1943, METOX stopped being effective.
Already the RAF have flown millions of miles on coastal patrol. They are the watchtowers of Britain's ships at sea.
Japanese bombers included the Nakajima B-5N torpedo bomber and Aichi D-3A dive bomber used at Pearl Harbor. The aircraft flew from 6 carriers, with the torpedo bombers concentrating on taking out battleships in the first phase of the attack, and the dive bombers targeting the air bases. In later kamikaze raids, Japanese pilots used the aircraft themselves as bombs. Outclassed by US aeroplanes, the Japanese formed a special suicide attack unit using Mitsubishi A6M0 fighters that were loaded with bombs and deliberately crashed into battleships. But with the United States boasting far superior air and land power, it was a losing battle. In the final year of the war, American B-29s rained firebombs on Tokyo, killing more than 100,000 people. The B-29 Super Fortress was a vital component in America's victory over Japan. The 4-engined heavy bomber had a range of 3,250 nautical miles and featured a pressurized cabin and remote-controlled machine gun turrets. Capable of carrying up to 20,000 pounds of standard bombs, it could be modified to transport 2 22,000-pound earthquake bombs. But it was for dropping just one type of bomb that the Super Fortress gained infamy. On the 6th of August 1945, Colonel Paul Tibbets flew a B-29 known as Enola Gay to the Japanese city of Hiroshima, where he dropped Little Boy, the first atomic bomb to be used as a weapon. When Little Boy detonated, it exploded with a force equivalent to between 13 and 16 kilotons of TNT, killing 140,000 people. 3 days later, a B-29 bomber known as Boxcar dropped a second nuclear bomb over Nagasaki, effectively ending the war. The B-29 next saw active service in the Korean War as the Americans fought Soviet-equipped North Korea.
Well armed and equipped, they moved steadily forward toward the Manchurian border under an air cover that hammered incessantly at North Korean supply lines and industrial centers. History may well record that air power spelled the difference between victory and defeat in the opening phases of the struggle.
The USSR used the 3 B-29s it acquired during World War II to create its own version of the heavy bomber, the Tupolev Tu-4 Bull. But with German rocket and jet engine engineers moving to America after the war, it was jet technology that was set to take center stage in aeronautics.
Inside a B-29 one day in 1953, Captain Charles Yeager, first man to break through the sound barrier, slid into a rocket-powered XS-1 snuggled against the mother plane. Dropping away under its own power, the skyrocket is soon plunging earthward at almost 1,400 miles an hour, twice the speed of sound, a world record. Refueled 4 times in flight, a B-50 has circled the globe non-stop. The Azores were first, Saudi Arabia next, and the Philippines third. A final refueling over Hawaii, then home again to Fort Worth.
The US's prototype jet bombers of the mid-1940s had come to naught. But as the Cold War intensified, long-range jet bombers, capable of delivering strategic nuclear strikes, became an integral component of military infrastructure.
Yes, we have come far since the Wright brothers' first flight at Kitty Hawk. Yet the future holds still many new challenges.
The offensive weapons of tomorrow are here today. Supersonic, super destructive, seemingly unresistible.
Heavy missile carriers and new supersonic fighters surprised the 500,000 onlookers at Tushino Airfield. In manned aircraft, Russia is perhaps ahead of anything in the West. Khrushchev may bluff sometimes, not every time.
The scope can recall any previous phase of the situation from the computer's memory. By analyzing the past, SAGE can project into the future. The computer can furnish information on the countermeasures available, so that the officer in charge can make his choice as to when and where to fight. Once he has selected a plan of counterattack, the computer guides interceptors and missiles to the enemy. Here is protection 2, the protection which comes with the possession of weapons of retaliation. Just as our defensive powers had been advancing, so have our instruments of attack.
In the US, the first pure jet strategic bomber entered service in 1952. The swept-wing B-47 Stratojet was equipped with 6 jet engines, retractable bicycle-style main landing gear, and carried a 3-man crew. It used rocket assist on takeoff and a chute to slow it down on landing. As medium bombers with a range of 3,500 miles, B-47s were stationed at American bases in the UK, Spain, Morocco,